Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to inform honorable members and the general public of the policy directions that I have provided to the regulatory authority. Mr. Speaker, on January 28th of this year, the Ascendant Group, which is the holding company that owns BELCO, announced that in its examination of strategic alternatives for the future, it was considering the sale of the group. This news is a once in a generation moment where we can either simply witness events unfold or galvanize our position on what is best for Bermuda and continue to drive positive change in this essential public utility. Mr. Speaker, built into Bermuda's legislation is the requirement that the regulator and the government which oversee the utilities only agree to that change in control if that change provides benefits to all stakeholders, not just the shareholders. Among those things normally considered regarding changes in control or ownership are the nationality of the prospective buyers, their financial stability, and fitness to engage in the business of providing a national electric service. Mr. Speaker, I am permitted under Section 8 of the Electricity Act 2016, the Act, to give directions to the regulatory authority. And I quote, with due regard to the purposes of this Act. Additionally, Section 9 of the Act allows me, in formulating ministerial direction, to set priorities in a way that, in my opinion, will best serve the public interest, taking into account government policy, the purposes of the Act, any public comments, and any available technical analysis. Mr. Speaker, for the benefit of honorable members and the general public, I will outline the policy directions given to the regulatory authority, which are embedded in the purposes of the Act as described in Section 6, namely to seek A, to ensure the adequacy, safety, sustainability, and reliability of electricity supply in Bermuda, so that Bermuda continues to be well positioned to compete in the international business and global tourism markets. We must ensure that a stable energy platform is maintained. Our stable electricity supply and grid have played a part in establishing Bermuda's elite reputation among all other island jurisdictions in the region. Safety is paramount as well, again, setting Bermuda quite apart from others in the region. This piece cannot be underemphasized in an environment where cost and quality are almost entirely proportional, in that where electricity is inexpensive in our region, it is usually also not nearly as reliable and safe as that in Bermuda. B, to encourage electricity conservation and the efficient use of electricity. Energy conservation and efficiency is something that, historically, Bermuda has not done well. Increased efficiency in end uses would mean the demand could be lower. And if demand is lower, essentially at times peak use, it is likely that fewer new engines need to be bought online to meet demand.
Morning.
Peak engines being the most expensive to run, they use costly diesel, and they are not as efficient themselves as the slower base load engines. Overall energy costs to the customer could also be diminished through using those engines less. Lastly, energy efficiency and conservation is the most effective way to reduce costs. Much of the incentive to embrace energy efficiency is in the hands of the utility through innovative rate structures and public outreach and education, so that the utility remains whole while helping their customers reduce costs. C, to promote the use of cleaner energy sources and technologies, including alternative energy sources and renewable energy sources. The obvious rationale here is to be environmentally responsible. Increasing the uptake of renewables responds to the climate change by increasing Bermuda's resiliency through less reliance on imported fuels. Renewable energy reduces the amount of money spent on foreign commodities, such as fuel oil, lubricants, replacement parts, and the like. That capital would instead be retained on island and hopefully circulating in the local economy. Energy independence is good for both the economy and the environment. Mr. Speaker, D, to provide sectoral participants and end users with non-discriminatory interconnection and transmission and distribution systems. This prevents any monopoly on the generating subsector and ensures that other market participants are allowed to interconnect to the grid. And it ensures that end users are not denied service without just cause. E, to protect the interests of end users with respect to prices and affordability, and the adequacy, reliability, and quality of electric services. This is self-explanatory. And F, to promote economic efficiency and sustainability in the generation, transmission, distribution, and sale of electricity. Economic efficiency in these areas translates to lower costs for customers. Mr. Speaker, I wish to assure the general public that, as noted in the, it should be Electricity Act, Mr. Speaker, not Energy Act. We will require any prospective new owners and indeed the current owners to adhere to the Integrated Resource Plan, known as the IRP, once complete. While the IRP is being developed by the regulatory authority and not this government, we can state quite emphatically that we look forward to more renewable energy. For example, solar energy, which is abundantly available in Bermuda. Power that does not require the importation of fuels such as fossil fuels is competitively sourced to be cheaper and cleaner. This type of energy mix that demonstrates that Bermuda is serious about energy independence is our vision for a power sector that benefits all of Bermuda. But let's not just tick the box on the IRP, Mr. Speaker. Compliance alone is not enough. Mr. Speaker, any prospective buyer of the Ascendant Group would have done their own due diligence in their investigations of the company. Any prospective buyer would have taken note of the events of October 2018, where plant workers were poised to be ready to put their feet on the street in support of their Bermudian colleagues who were abruptly dismissed. Any prospective buyer would note that Bermudians are no longer willing to watch their qualified, educated, experienced colleagues overlooked and undervalued. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we expect any prospective buyer to note that they will have to be transparent, inclusive, and collaborative. Transparent in their planning and decision-making so that matters of national importance, once deliberated behind the closed doors of Serpentine Road, are decided through open discourse across the strata of our society. Inclusive in that Bermudians must come first. I'll repeat that, Mr. Speaker. Inclusive in that Bermudians must come first. And those Bermudians who are qualified must be given preference over non-Bermudians. I'll repeat that too. Those Bermudians who are qualified must be given preference over non-Bermudians. Collaborative in that the community must be engaged in developing services and solutions that improve the triple bottom line. In other words, solutions that benefit the environment, the economy, and society. Mr. Speaker, it is our mission, together with the regulatory authority, to ensure that the result will be a better BELCO for a better Bermuda. Maintaining the status quo or simply a marginal improvement to that status quo will not be acceptable to this government, nor can it be acceptable to our people. We will look forward to, in whatever form, a better electric utility that shares the government's vision of increased adoption of renewables and a fairer electric utility for a better and fairer Bermuda. All for a better and fairer Bermuda. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure honorable members and the general public that the government will be actively working with the RA to achieve their expectations in obtaining optimum services from the utilities, whether they be electric or electronic communications. You will soon hear more about developments in the electronic communications area, in particular, the Integrated Communications License, known as ICOL. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.